Hello, everybody, and hello, Maddie, in Australia. It is the 1st of October. We are officially on the run home for the year, and I hear you have a big day ahead of you as well.
I certainly do. In Austin, we have an hour and a half left of the business day to finish off the quarter. So I hope that I can see my team still making sales out there. It looks like they are, which is great. We're hopefully going to finish the quarter strong. And yeah, we've got a big company strategy update at 5 p.m. So sorry to the poor US team that's doing that over their dinner time, but 2 hours of what is hopefully gold of what the next 5 years is going to look like for us. So it's been a big day. How have things been on your side of the lake?
Very good. We had AFL Grand Final, the Aussie Rules Footy Grand Final here in Melbourne over the weekend. So caught up with a few friends and got a bit silly. Not quite as silly. I didn't pull this off, but I'm kind of wishing I did now. I don't know if you saw the meme of the guy who I think was at an AFL Grand Final celebration dressed up as Les Grossman from Tropic Thunder and got the full Tom Cruise get up and dance on. I have locked that in for next year. Absolutely.
I would pay to see you doing that.
I think what we could potentially look at, and we'll get it up for everyone who hasn't seen it, but maybe a bit of Nano Banana. What do you think?
Well, I saw an update. You can now feed Nano Banana into VO3. So you can Nano Banana something, which for those who are first-time listeners is the image generation model from Google, which is very good. If you haven't seen it, Scotty wearing a lei and holding a coconut while he's on his Hawaii trip that I made, we could turn that into an animated video now of you running down the beach or something. So we could also just Nano Banana it and put it into VO3. It's a crazy world.
It's funny because on the grand final day, my mates were actually just trolling each other by doing these sort of Nano Bananas, just making each other fat and things like that. Really childish things that 38-year-old men do. And I got your one and said, make him more muscly and add my dodgy tattoo on and stuff. And I sent it to him and then grokked it as a video on top of that. So it was like, I was sort of really swinging it with the proper AI, with a bit of work done by you. So thank you for that.
So when you're hanging out with your mates at Grand Final Day, is this your mates at in their late 30s? Are they using these kinds of tools, or are you the life of the party, showing everyone how to use Nano Banana and how to use Grok, and then everyone's getting around it? Like, what's the state of play amongst your network with AI usage?
Can I tell you something really troubling? So all my mates are school teachers, and as soon as they got there, they started taking photos and around with them on Grok and Gemini and ChatGPT, and it was like pumping them out so quick. And I said to my mate who's a school teacher, how is this coming out so quick? Like, what's your prompt? Show me your prompts. He goes, oh, it's actually just in the memory. Like, it knows what I want. So are you doing this all day? Like, is this your use of AI? This is what our teachers are doing with AI. And he's like, absolutely. He goes, what are you doing?
Are you trying to create business efficiencies? You're trying to automate, then elevate. I'm just making fat photos.
Do you know what's funny? I refused. They were using ChatGPT. I refused to do it because I didn't want to shame myself with my model. Like, I didn't want to dirty the memory that I've built up with ChatGPT. Because if I say want to know anything about strategy or physics or anything to do with Elysium or W, I can drop it in there and I just know it's got great hygiene. It's got great prompt hygiene. I'm not going to ruin it with show me a fat photo of Matt with 4 Coronas, like a thing around his face.
Maybe ChatGPT needs modes. It needs profiles. Scotty on the weekend versus Scotty at work.
So anyway, that's an interesting use case, and it's made its way into the grand final watching of Bogans. So congratulations, Sam, on your use. It's actually like a meme that you posted, I think, where it's they're saying we need more compute. They're like, what for, to solve cancer? And then it just it's like loading a stupid Star Wars meme.
Yeah.
What's mate? You had a trip to San Fran this week, I believe, following my footsteps at the local party of your VC backers.
Yeah, so I was in San Francisco. I had a few meetings there, but I timed it with an event. A investor of ours is Preston Werner Ventures, so the founder of GitHub, who sold out for somewhere in the billions. He's got a fund. He's invested in BuildPass because we use some of their tech, and hopefully because he likes our business as well. But last time that I got invited to this event, you happened to be in San Francisco, and you went and represented BuildPass and kept the level of wine consumption up at that event. The place that it's at, it's really beautiful. It's an old church that they've redone, and it's just a beautiful place that I think Tom has bought. It was a good event, lots of interesting people, and I had a very classic San Francisco trip. So in short, I got a bit of an inside scoop on what's going on in the Valley. A couple of topics you might be interested in. Number one was we've talked briefly, I think, about the company Mercor, which is like this big data labeling company, and they simulate the training environments that you need for AI. Their customers are the big foundational model companies like Anthropic, like OpenAI. They were the fastest company to get to 400 million in ARR ever. Did it in like 18 months. Crazy growth. Inside word is the model companies are actively building that tech so that they won't need it. So if you're in on that company, maybe get out, could be the top sign of the bubble. That was a bit of scoop. The other bit of scoop that you might enjoy is apparently the relationship between our man Zuck and the new buck, Mr. Wang, Alexander Wang. Not going so well. He's apparently not all he's cracked up to be, and maybe he was a little bit of a grifter running and selling out Scale AI for 14 billion. So that's a bit of a scoop, and I will say as well, the other San Francisco thing that I did was instead of going and watching the AFL Grand Final at a pub in San Francisco, which I didn't want to do because Collingwood didn't make it, I went to an AI launch party and I drank some nice wine on the VC dollar. And I still don't know what the AI company does, even after going to their launch party. So that's the state of San Francisco. Very frothy times, I must say.
Can I look? The Zuck and Wangy thing is a worry, because the last thing we need is your man coming back to the top of the helm and setting Meta back a decade. But it does make sense. Like, so have you ever regretted a purchase or an expensive purchase after you've made it, where you're like, oh, I'm not sure
of course.
I got a bit frothy there.
Yeah.
What do you think Steve Jobs' entire life earnings was when he died?
I don't know. What he took out of Apple as a salary or market, how much capital he had in shares?
Well, life earnings. So, I mean, the guy had one of the most, greatest careers of all time. His life earnings were 10 billion.
It was probably quite low.
10 billion.
Oh, 10 billion.
So Wangy has been paid because he's sold out, right? He's been paid more than Steve Jobs. So he's brought across a guy who's probably in his 30s, is he? He's been bought for more than Steve Jobs ever accumulated in his life. So I get the fact that Zuck might be going, what have I done here?
Yeah, it puts it into perspective, and I also heard that it's a similar story with the rest. So all of these big ticket players, for everyone that he managed to buy, I think there was, probably another 9 that said no to the money, and that's why he had to pay up so much. So maybe he actually hasn't even got the best talent. But who knows? We talked about the Meta glasses, and they seem to be doing some really good things there. I think Zuck's super competitive. We know that. He's been around. He won't go away. So I also wouldn't rule him out.
No, I like that too. Yeah, I do want to talk about the glass as well. But I think if that was one of the signs of the top, because whenever you think about, when did the economy top out before things might have taken a turn for a correction, Wangy's 12 billion will be part of it. What's his name still hasn't done anything. Johnny Ive with was it 6 billion? With his mere 6 billion. I haven't seen him do much
6
yet.
or 7.
Hopefully he's about to release a research paper like Mirror and say, this is what a device should look like. And then this lady in San Francisco has been helping with baby naming for a mere 30,000 US.
Wild.
Which, I mean, San Fran's the perfect place on earth for that, though, isn't it?
Yeah, like what says AI bubble and too much money more than paying $30,000 to have your baby named? That is a true sign.
And the fact that she's picked San Fran as a destination says that's where the bubble is. That's a bubble locator.
Exactly. Follow the signs.
We also have the other bubble warning is Chamath is back in the arena with another super PAC, is he?
He is, yep, Chamath. So, man famous, been early at Facebook and then popularizing a form of capital deployment in the public markets with a SPAC. What's it stand for again? I don't know, but it's basically just a fund placing bets, isn't it? Really, at the end of the day. Yeah, it's what you do is you take over it's like a reverse IPO. You take over a company on the public market. You have a fund with a bunch of money, and then you use that fund to invest in other companies. So he popularized the idea of a SPAC. I don't know, probably like 5 years ago now, and most of them tanked. A lot of retail investors lost a lot of money. But the fact that he is back doing his SPACs, there's a lot of good memes online about it truly being the top of the bubble.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last one for the top of the bubble, and it might just be the global bubble. It's just, and we'll get it up. But it's, Trump and the Republicans at the moment are actually like dealing with really serious issues and just trolling. Like with AI, they're doing AI slop trolling of foreign governments and the Democratic Party. And while it is such an amusing time to be alive, this feels like the Roaring 20s when you watch those movies and you're just like, what are you guys doing? You're just drunk all day, just rolling around and all this opulence. I feel like we're just in this time where it's like 12 billion here, AI slop, democracy. Like, I just feel like the music's going to stop soon and it's going to be like, who's sitting in their chair. So anyway, we might have called the top here at Built to Scale.
Yeah, totally. But as far as like things that are actually useful, what I thought was quite funny and is actually elite is, did you see that the Las Vegas Metro Police have started rolling out Cybertrucks as their police vehicles, and they look super mean. They're fully wrapped with the police colours. Can you imagine getting chased down by a Cybertruck? This all aluminium thing that goes 0 to 100 in God knows how many seconds, probably 2. You wouldn't stand a chance. I think this is absolutely the perfect move.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I drove the Cybertruck and like the Cyber Beast version, the wild version in LA for a week, to me, they're clearly the best car in the world in terms of what it does, how fast it goes, what it can carry, its utility. What's going to be really interesting is it, when they turn on the full self-driving, is it autonomous police cars chasing you down? They don't even have humans in them, and they just work as a fleet. You know what I mean? Like, that fleet control button, if they can get that going, like, because imagine all the human, like, and you see in the movies where the cops like, we missed him. But like the Cybertruck fleet ain't going to miss you. It's like a heat-seeking missile.
Yeah, it'll hunt you down. I was thinking the other day, I was using the Tesla self-driving, and I was thinking they've obviously put all these safety controls in there. I wonder if there's a model out there that just says drive like a freaking maniac and just go as aggressive as possible, and what that would be like. Would it be like a Formula One driver, or like if you took that on the road and you just wanted to weave traffic, would it actually be really good if they had that model? Like, surely Elon's got that in some black box somewhere.
You'd think so. You'd think that the best place to test, you're in the best place to test that in Texas. But also, I imagine, as cars start getting better than humans, I can imagine them going on the racetrack and having like, the autonomous F1, like where they all, get their chops going on, we've got the fastest car, like get rid of Lewis Hamilton. We've got the fastest, best self-driving car.
That reminds me, and then we can move on. Last San Francisco thing, I was at a bar on the Friday night before I went to this AI launch party, and a guy was trying to convince me to come with him to the event he was going. And I don't know if you've seen this, but the event that he was going to was they have robots in a UFC cage and famous people control the robots and fight each other. And all of these tech bros go and watch it. Have you seen this?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's also peak AI bubble.
Yeah, it's PK, it's Fight Club for nerds.
Yeah.
So that's it. We've called the top. 1st of October in Australia, 30th of September over in the US is the top. We'll watch the market from here. One thing that I was, the timing of it, a great announcement today is that Maximo, which is a AI for finance tool out of San Francisco, basically saying, too much time still spent in Excel spreadsheets, sorting out the back end of your, financial software. They've got a $9 million seed round that they've raised. I think they might have done it with A16Z. I don't want to click on it. And I just think the timing, though, is really poor for me. I've just spent 6 months putting a finance team together. Probably overspent, and just placed them. So what I did in true CEO fashion was send them the link to this without any context to both of them. And I did get a response saying, "Thanks, Scotty, we'll look into this and report back." And I thought, perfect response. How good's being a CEO, though, when you just flick shit on and don't even write underneath it? Like, don't even write what you want, just forward.
I feel like... that is the kind of, it's like a deck of cards doing that. You've got a few aces that you can play in sending that on. But once you've played all your cards, once you've done that 52 times, people aren't sticking around. you can only do that so many times, Scotty.
You've got to use that power sporadically. You can't just do the forward with no context all the time.
Yeah.
Because then they're just going to give up and go, what is this idiot sending me? But like when you roll out, especially when people have just started, you got at least 5 in the bank early just to get them going far, like a cat in a hot tin roof. Like, what does he want? Anyway. Now, mate, quick thanks for watching this week. What have you got for us? Who's been tuning in to the Built to Scale pod?
Yeah, so the TBPN guys, we've talked about their podcast. They've got some great guests on. CEO of something called AppLovin, I think it is. The ticker is APP. Don't actually know what they do, but to Mr. Adam Feroji, I think his name is, he was talking about only hiring A players because A players want to work with other A players. That's the risk you run if you have a few B's and C's scattered in there. But also about his hiring philosophy, talking about automating first and then hiring second. So rather than going, we've got a problem, hire someone, it's we've got a problem, let's figure out how we can use AI to automate it. We've talked about this many times before. You've coined the phrase, you either automate or elevate the work. And I'd just like to say to Mr. Adam Feroji of AppLovin, thank you for watching.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Where when you're an established business, you want to start to automate tasks, right? Instead of just hiring another person. What are your thoughts on when you're a pure startup and you actually have skills that aren't in the building yet? Do you think that, you've got like an automation or a software guy that can just start playing around with tools and agents and start building from there? Or do you think you need, Peter Thiel coined this great phrase, like one person for one problem? Do you think you still need this one person departments where there's at least someone who has domain expertise in everything you're trying to do and then they can use tools?
Yeah, probably. I think it depends on what kind of business it is. We all hear about these businesses that are like solo founder using with no staff going from 0 to 10 million in ARR or something crazy. So you can sort of do that now. But I think if you have ambitions to build a really big company, you need to have good people from the start. So I would say it's probably a mix. You want to get a core group of, the Navy SEALs in who are responsible for those different functions, and they're going to be the ones that command all of the AI for you. So I think there's no replacing really good people if you've got big ambitions.
Yeah, we were definitely looking at that with also some work last night on like an org chart for Elysium, and it's interesting. So we've got the design stage, which is like AI architecture, massing, planning, BIM modeling, and then getting something into a documentation phase that can then be built either in a factory or on site. And then we've got the build phase, which is, construction, 3D printing, modular, assembly, built intelligence, all that kind of stuff. And then we've got the home operating system. And in the first two, I looked at it and thought like, oh, I can automate that. I've already got that skill in house. I can get one architect, one engineer, one BIM guy. And then I got to the operating system phase, which was like in-home robotics, IoT, sensors, climate, full list of things that need to be taken care of. And I thought, there's like 10 staff members with specific skill sets, whether it's in like mechatronics, robotics, user interface, design, AI. And I'm like, that's a 10-person department. And so when you're thinking about how much you need to raise, it was interesting to staff that full stack, and just how much I couldn't think of like at minimum one person per department there. I couldn't think of just automating that or using a model to do that.
Yeah,
maybe try to solve a hard problem.
Yeah, and we have talked about that like AI operations role. Like I think getting someone in early to help you analyze that and go, do we need this stack of people before we hire them, or what can we automate with AI? But yeah, it's definitely not going to automate everything. The other one that I had in the thanks for watching was Dylan Field, the founder of Figma, design collaboration software, super popular, had the potential acquisition from Adobe for $20 billion, got barred by the SEC. They went back to the drawing board, IPO'd, and they shot up on IPO to way higher value than that, I believe. So really good company. Shout out to my cousin, who was the first Australian engineer to get hired at Figma, now lives in Seattle. But the point of this one was he talks about something called Jevons paradox. And so what Jevons paradox is, it's when you have increased efficiency in using a resource, and that leads to a higher overall consumption of that resource. It's in reference to AI and AI potentially disrupting design and the need for designers. What he's saying, what he's seeing out of the field is people are hiring designers, or good designers, even more than ever. And this is exactly what we've been saying around, if you are a really good user of AI, you become super valuable, and therefore you will become more demanded. And if you can produce a lot of value for an organization, someone wants to hire more of that. So I think it was just a really cool, hadn't heard of this concept, Jevons paradox, but it is exactly what we've been talking about around AI isn't here to just replace everyone. It's here to reward the people who know how to use it.
Yep. Imagine being the first person with the excavator when everyone else is using shovels.
Exactly.
You know, how much dirt can you take away? I think that's how people need to start thinking about it. So go get your excavator license. Mate, let's get into the AI news this week. And OpenAI has woken up over the last 7 days. First one and most recent one off the bat is their new Sora model. So their video model. They've released a trailer for it today. Every time they do something like this, though, they seem to blow up their compute, which is kind of annoying. What are you seeing from this newest release, and what do you think it means for the direction they're going, and then maybe what we're going to get access to?
Yeah. So interestingly, the new model Sora comes with a different app. So you've got to go and type in Sora in the App Store. When I did, it was so new it didn't even come up. I had to do Sora by OpenAI. You download it. You can't get in unless you got an invite code. So we've got to figure out how to get an invite code. I'm sure it will go probably onto the Pro plan soon and then Plus. Now, the difference between the main differences between Sora, which was their original video model, and this one, they're quite large actually. So one, it does music or sound alongside the video. So you can have sound in the background. You can do longer videos. It's more realistic. And I think you can iterate it on it faster as well. You get the video and you quickly say, I don't like that part, and it just changes that part. So it looks like a massive leap ahead. Does it outcompete something like VO3? Probably. But the fact that it does sound and video alongside your prompts, you can create full marketing material. You can create full short films just using AI. And with the pace it's going to be, if you can still tell that it's AI, that won't last for long. So this is the world we're living in. The world we're living in is on-demand creative for the price of an OpenAI subscription. So pretty big news, I think.
Well, what's interesting as well is I think on top of that, they're doing an app or a platform where it sort of ends up being like the TikTok of AI videos. So
you can share them as well, can you?
Well, I think they want to be the TikTok for AI videos. Yeah. So they want to be like this, some
Right.
people are calling it like slop farms and stuff like that. But if people are paying attention to TikTok, if people are swiping every 5 seconds and just mindlessly going through stuff, you can apply the same to AI. They're not doing it because it's human. So I think they're really onto something here about releasing something and then being the platform for that to be on.
Yeah.
I think that's
they're going head
really
to head
interesting.
with Meta then. Because did you see Meta Vibes that also didn't get the best reception on X? They had a similar thing. It's like the AI generated video. So they're probably going head to head with that then.
I think in general, if you look at because Grok's got X, right? And Google's got YouTube. So Jensen called them hyperscalers as well the other day, which was another interesting term to be talking about these models, the model businesses. But I think basically they're saying is whatever you generate with us, we also want to be the platform that you're sharing it on. So we want to, and that's going to help us monetize that or keep your attention. But I want to move on to what I thought was the most exciting. It could have actually been a thanks for watching, Matthew. I think 6 months ago we spoke about what OpenAI are doing because they're not capturing the revenue from the value they're creating. The revenue is actually going to NVIDIA. They're not capturing the revenue. And we said, how can they actually capture the value of what they're creating and their user base? And the one thing we said is, well, take my credit card and help me shop. And if you say to someone, take my credit card and help me shop, there are two people and businesses that would come to your mind: Stripe and Shopify. And it seems like Sam, Mr. Collins and your man, Toby Lutke, have got together and just in the background have been producing what seems like probably the most high impact revenue use case for OpenAI that I've seen to date.
Yep, for sure. It's three powerhouse companies and powerhouse founders as well coming together to create a in-platform shopping experience that's AI native. And when you think about it, you've got your people who do want to just scroll mindlessly on shopping, and that's fun for them. But I'd say the bulk of commerce is done transactionally. You just want to get the thing you need. Imagine, cooking, and all of a sudden you're out of something. You've got to remember to stock the fridge. Just go and get your AI, talk to your AI to go buy it for you. You've ruined your favorite pair of shorts. Just talk to your AI to go get you another one delivered. You know what you want. The AI will know what you want. It'll get better over time. So super powerful. We've always talked about where the attention goes, whether it's going to remain in the browser or is it going to go into this new experience. And I think we're starting to see the signs of maybe being in the browser wars is not where you want to play. Maybe the browser is going to be done, and it's going to be just all done through these new interfaces, these chat first, voice first interfaces, whereby there isn't as many storefronts as web pages anymore. And it's about how can I deliver the goods or do commerce with people's agents. And we've seen the first sign of that through OpenAI.
Yeah. I think it's great just being able to quickly find what you want and get it to you. It's obviously going to build more and more information about you as well. So it will be interesting to see how the back end of these shops work. But I just think Shopify under Toby's leadership is a great sign of a business moving quickly when a huge change is coming, and the CEO being at the front of it, focusing all their energy, and then being first here is about as big as anything. So that's very exciting. I also saw that Google released today, so within 24 hours, basically saying that we've got a major new update in AI mode in search for visual exploration with voice. So basically, talk to your thing. I want to buy some shorts, or here's some shorts, and then start going through their avenue. So I think that conversational shopping from home is going to be a really big deal moving forward. It's the next iteration from Amazon, isn't it? It's like sitting at home, scrolling and sitting on Amazon. The next iteration of that is just, hey, I need some shorts.
Well, that's really interesting to think. You can't imagine Amazon going anywhere. They've got too much infrastructure. That's obviously there to stay. But does Amazon then go and partner with OpenAI? Do they create their own experience through Alexa? We haven't heard about Alexa forever. What is Alexa doing? That's the Siri of the world. So I think that'll be really interesting. Will I soon be able to order things from Amazon through ChatGPT? Because that's what I want. I'm a power user of Amazon.
I think they're trying to block agents. I thought Amazon for the last 6 months have been trying to block agents from going on their site. So, I mean, Jeff Bezos is literally on his yacht with his new wife. Like, he's not necessarily in the arena. So that might
He's
be
not
the
like Toby.
difference
Yeah,
between-
exactly. He's not like Toby, is he? Toby's there still coding, getting screenshots of his computer every 10 seconds. Bezos is out funding
Taking
expensive
snaps of his
clocks.
life on the yacht.
Yeah, exactly. That would be a good
Great
meme.
time, Dale.
We should create that meme.
Yeah, they're both doing screenshots. The next one for the AI is a bit of a worry, actually, this one. I just wanted to get your take on this. I never really contemplated where is the source of information coming from for the major LLMs. This study, I'm not sure where it's from. It said Google's AI mode overviews ChatGPT and Perplexity. So it's measuring, in theory, 3 of the biggest models, and saying where they're getting information from. But on this graph here, it's got 40% from Reddit, 26% from Wikipedia, 25% from YouTube, 23% from Google, Yelp, Facebook, Amazon, TripAdvisor. I imagine amongst that, you've got to throw in all the university citations and papers and scientific discovery and everything. But what are your thoughts on where we're getting the foundational knowledge for these models from?
I kind of don't mind it. And here's the reason. If we were just getting our information from web pages and those crappy like comparison software pages that you've seen where it's clearly written by a company and they're comparing it for SEO, if we were just getting our information from there, I don't think we'd get the most accurate view of things like sentiment and people's actual reviews. So the fact that the LLMs are getting a bunch of information from Reddit, I think actually goes to the source of what people really think and gives you an extra layer of context over the truth. It surprises me that, it doesn't surprise me, but if you had to guess what would be above that, if they're allowed to be, what would be the other source of information they would get that from? It'd be from X, right? Like that's the town hall. That's where you're getting it. So, and Grok has got that and the rest I think don't. So it doesn't surprise me that a lot of information comes from Reddit. I actually think it's a good thing. They just must have some good filtering mechanisms in there to get rid of the slop, because there's obviously some deep, dark areas of Reddit and a lot of crap on there as well. So as long as they can avoid that, I don't know, it kind of makes sense.
Well, what if you're Reddit then? How are you monetizing being 40% of the foundational information that's going into the major models? Like, that seems like a slightly missed opportunity there from their point of view.
Well, I think it was either Reddit or Quora that had their own AI assistant that was called P-O-E. I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was a flop. So I don't know, maybe they just do have really lucrative deals with these companies.
Yeah,
and
the back end.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, mate, let's get into a few more. So we've got some vibe coding updates here. One that we both noticed this week was A16Z leading a $300 million founding round. Now, hopefully you can tell me what a founding round is. I haven't heard of that type of round before, but for Periodic Labs. One of the things that excited me about this was they seem to want to be in the frontier of the physical sciences. So tell us a little bit more about this business and then maybe tell me what a founding round is.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where founding round comes into. Is it a pre-seed, a seed? Is it something else? Is it before that? Have they created a round before a pre-seed? And if so, 300 mil before pre-seed.
I'm wondering if the title is because of that, because it's embarrassing amount of money to call pre-seed.
Potentially. But yeah, it's pretty cool that we are working at the frontier of physical sciences as well, and people are literally trying to use AI to solve the world's problems. We talked about that meme earlier of Sam creating a bunch of videos and him being on selfie mode with the intro video for Sora. But there are people out there that want to solve the world's hardest problems, and to, like Elon says, to explore the universe. I was listening to your man Demis from Google DeepMind. His whole thing has always been, can we solve the most untractable problems in the world by using AI, and that's been his lifelong mission. So, look, this one makes me excited, I guess. And it's a lot of money. It does show that maybe we're at the peak. But what were your thoughts on it?
I really like the idea. I think Elon's been talking up over the last couple of weeks about Grok 4 and then Grok 5 making actual scientific discoveries. And Sir Demis mentioned at the All In Summit that he thinks until it does that we're not at AGI. He seemed to think that that was 5+ years away. Elon thinks it's next 12 months. And these guys are making a big bet that it's not that far away either, I imagine. My question, I suppose, always goes back to the king. How much of this $300 million is going to go to the king? How much goes into Jensen's pockets? And what do you need to raise $300 million for to start an AI lab?
Yeah, it's a good question. You surely half of it, at least, is going just to Jensen. So he wakes up and sees this news and goes, "Great, another 150 mil.
Great,
cool."
Great. And I didn't even have to invest in the stupid company either. Like lately, he's been like doing these like, "All right, I'll put 10 billion. I know 15's coming back my way," but. Like in this one, so OpenAI also got involved in this one as well. So maybe OpenAI are thinking, instead of trying to be part of the talent war, maybe we can just place some bets on some external people and let them go do their thing and not just bring everyone into our umbrella and use their capital in that way. Because I imagine just burning up GPUs is like if you get to the end of a 3 or 4 year bull run and go, oh, we've had $1 trillion pumped into our company and 60% of it's gone to Jensen. You're going to look back at it and go, and all we did was produce like Star Wars memes. You're going to look back at it and be like, was that the best use of capital? But then they might end up getting rich on all these bets they place based on their industry knowledge and then letting, people behind under the hood on their models. So very interesting time, very frothy, very bubble-like. But I thought we could quickly maybe touch on even the king and his discussions. We both have watched bits of his interview on the BGE2 pod. He's now basically putting an arbitrage on energy, and he's talking up, that NVIDIA's got multiple $1 trillion market growth ahead of it, which these are numbers we've never heard before. That's more, it's the size of nations' GDP. And when people challenging on it, like, oh, but don't you have this scaling law? And he's basically saying every single part of the economy will be transformed by AI, physical labor into robotics, white collar labor into AI. And then he said, and not just that, like the effect you were talking about before, once you do that more efficiently, the economy will grow so that it'll create more demand itself. So he's basically saying that the whole economy, probably by a factor, could all come back through compute through NVIDIA.
Yeah, it's crazy. And he also has drawn a direct correlation between energy consumption for AI and the amount of revenue and hence profit that he makes. And the number is quite astounding. Jensen reckons that for each gigawatt of power that's consumed for AI, NVIDIA makes $35 billion in revenue and put in whatever margin it is that they operate on. But that's a lot of cash that goes to deploy more. And yeah, this could be a multi-trillion-dollar revenue company, which is just crazy to think about.
One of the things that him and Elon are the best in the world at is getting to the core of an immensely complex issue and turning it into fairly basic math. Yeah. So Elon talks about what the bottleneck is for SpaceX and for AI. And he talks about it as the amount of solar capacity of the solar system that we can harness. And he basically, I forget the name he calls it, but he says once we can harness all the capacity of the Earth's surface, or something the equivalent of the Earth's surface thing, then we can solve this much compute, therefore that will happen. And then he goes, then it's of the solar system. And then he goes, and then once we can absorb the capacity of the universe. And it's just, once you start, like when you're planning and you're about to go into a strategy meeting, and if you haven't done your arbitrage on the sun, potentially scrap everything and start again. But once you hear these guys talk like this, it actually gives you confidence to reset your own boundaries on, wait, what is our limiting function here? And initially it might be some talent or access to some capital, but when you go broader picture and you do start thinking about what actually the limiting factor of the business is, it can get quite exciting and drive a larger vision and get more people to get behind it. But yeah, both just geniuses in this space talking about the bottlenecks energy, what's our arbitrage on energy. Very intelligent stuff.
Yeah, and their ability to go between that and the detail as well. Like both of them are in the detail of either their computer chip architecture or the circuitry on a rocket, and then they can talk like that. So I think it's having both of those skill sets in one. That's the golden founder or CEO.
Absolutely. Mate, let's get into the robot rundown here. And fair bit going on in the space. It seems like every week there's a new either humanoid robot or one discipline robot coming out. What have we seen here from Dyna Robotics?
The interesting thing about Dyna Robotics, and look, they've just done 120 million Series A. Is that a before or after founding round? We don't know, but it's a lot of money. What I found interesting about this robotics company is they have been solving for a foundational model that generalizes the ability for a robot to learn tasks. So let's recap on what that means based on our conversations in previous episodes. Rather than having to teach the robot exactly what to do or program that in or make the AI quite domain specific, apparently this model, you just need to show it a task and it will learn. It will learn while it's doing. And they have proven that if in 24 hours of continuous operation, it had a 99% success rate in doing the task that it was told to do. So without knowing heaps about this company, that sounds like a really, really big opportunity. It's the kind of thing that Brett at Figma has been trying to solve for. It's the kind of thing that obviously Elon's trying to solve for at Optimus, and Google are going deep on alongside a partnership with NVIDIA on the operating system for robots to learn on. So if this, like what I assume is quite a small company compared to the rest, if they have solved for that, that's really big news.
It sort of lends to that thing like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, like how many lines of code is the task? Feels like they're talking here about like folding clothes. That doesn't seem like an enormous amount of code. So it is interesting, these companies starting with these mundane tasks. But I think what we'll end up realizing is that there are a lot of mundane, repeatable tasks being completed in the physical world out there for people on $20, $30 an hour. And that's where these robots are coming for.
I think another interesting thing that I want to learn more about is to do the more complex tasks, are they trying to teach that from first principles, like saying, here's the objective, go figure it out? Or are they still going to be training it with experts? Like, do they still need, let's take the construction example, because we both work in that space. Are they still going to be training on videos of workers doing really complex tasks on a construction site? Or are they going to be saying, here is the design, figure out the best way for this robot to do it based on what it knows? I suspect it's still going to get trained, but I actually don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, you're sort of talking about what's the architecture of that thing. That's a hard call to make, but I feel like there's going to be this combination of pre-training, this understanding of physics, and then these AI models that help the robot interact and take instruction. And then I feel like you're going to have the equivalent of an apprentice that then you fine tune. I don't see like an off the shelf or just hi, here's a plumbing pipe, go lay it. I've just bought this robot off the shelf. I feel like there's going to be some fine tuning involved.
Yeah. Now that we talk about it, it does, we can go back to Sir Demis. In that all-in pod, he talks about the fact that even when they were training AlphaGo, the AlphaGo model from DeepMind, the AlphaFold model, which is the one he earned the Nobel Prize for, they had to like essentially hard code into that some answers to problems. And once the model had learned based on what they'd trained it, they then used that model to train a more generic model that just started from the learning. So I think you can actually use a combination of the both. Once you got these smaller, more specific models that know how to do a job really well, that's then becomes a tool. That's a training tool for a more generic model to just do the unsupervised learning on.
Yeah, that makes sense. Another interesting one this week in terms of robots, we've spoken about a lot, the RoboTaxi Tesla versus the Waymo. There's a graphic out looking at what $1 million of them is worth, and $1 million of robot taxis is something like 50 of them or something, and Waymo's it's about 6. So when you're dealing with an order of magnitude difference in cost, how do these products end up competing with each other? What is the future of Waymo when you look at the graphic like this?
Well, I think we need to step back and go, Elon was probably right. You know, he knows that the problem isn't figuring out the tech, because he had to start a space company and he knew how to put rockets in the air. The problem was doing it for a cost-effective amount so that he could get contracts with the government over NASA. That was the main problem. As we've talked about, the hardest thing with his rocket company is the manufacturing and the supply chain. And he had that insight from the start with things like the RoboTaxi. I'm not going to use LiDAR. I'm not going to make it with all of these complex algorithms. I'm going to solve for the hard problem of doing it all with cameras, because once I've done that, then I will do it more cost effectively and that'll take over the world. So we're starting to see it. We've got a video in here as well of someone saying that they're seeing RoboTaxis all around San Francisco, not to the same level of Waymo's yet, but they've just launched. And so with his level of production, if people are using them, apparently it's cheaper to ride in them. Man, we're starting to see a real shift towards there has been a bunch of autonomous Teslas around, and soon people will be able to use their own Teslas and make them work for them while they're at work. So you could drive your Tesla to work and then make it work for you on the road while you're at work.
Well, the other thing about the RoboTaxi is it's always down to the architect, the initial architecture, and like what you're saying, all those big decisions made right at the start before you produce anything. Did you see the patent? And he said patents were for as well, I think. But did you see the patent that they released about their manufacturing protocol last week about the dipping? So they've created a way to make cars out of like casting, right? And it's all the old manufacturing laws are out the window, and all the amount of labor they require. So, I mean, robotaxis are going to be made without steering wheels. They're not designed to have humans. They're not, modding up a Jaguar or something like that, like Waymo is. So I just think that how do you compete with someone that's light years ahead and then has the tools at their disposal, like the whole of Tesla's global supply chain? So I think we spoke about it last time. I see the only way forward for them is a deal with Toyota and, or BYD or something like that. But I can't see that happening. So I just feel like maybe a deal with Toyota gets them out of this mess.
I also can't see all the people who I know who buy Toyota Land Cruisers and are putting lift kits on them and rugged wheels. I don't see them putting a big LiDAR thing to make it look like a Waymo on the top of their $120,000 Land Cruiser either. So, who knows? But sorry, what it reminds me of actually is what you comment around robotaxis is what you said about the home is the home has been designed for humans to do tasks. But if you throw out the need for humans to do tasks, how can you change that? If you redesign it from the ground up, you can make spaces more efficient. All of a sudden, the laundry can be smaller. It's the same thing with the car, like you say. Like if it's designed just to take passengers and not a driver, what does the redesign of the car actually look like if you go from the bottom up? And the other thing I saw with while we're on Tesla, I had my hissy fit about the fact I'm not going to get the Model Y L with the extra seat in it because it's only going to China. But credit to Elon. He's got his Gigafactory in China, and there's an awesome video on it, which we can maybe show a bit of a clip on while I'm talking. But in the video, you barely see a human. Literally, I would say 98% of the tasks are automated, and seeing the robots work together at that scale, it was just, it kind of gives you shivers how cool it is to see the scale of that kind of thing and what he's going to be able to produce.
It's very cool for thinking about, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to limit the friction. Elon and Jensen are talking about limiting the friction between energy and product. And what you're probably seeing there and getting excited about is that you think China's producing energy for virtually $0. Then you're seeing these autonomous factories, and that the friction and costs, input costs between that energy and your final product is just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's how you're going to produce an autonomous RoboTaxi for 20 grand US. Like, I just don't want to be competing with that. I don't want to be that's half the reason we do this show, is so we can see what fields to stay out of.
Totally.
Just see what the big dogs are into, and just to go, unless I can put a wrapper on them and grow with them, I'm out.
Yeah, RoboTaxi wrappers.
Uber for RoboTaxis. Just try and beat him at the app layer. That was the robot rundown. Let's. We know we've got your strategy to get into, which is hopefully not competing with Jensen or Elon. But age of agents, a topic that we've probably had on the last 4 or 5 shows. One of your guys, Patrick Collison, we've already spoken about him today. But what's he up to? Or is this re-announcing the OpenAI deal?
No, this is his post is announcing the OpenAI deal, but something that was thrown in there that might be sort of glossed over by just the fact that Stripe is powering OpenAI is the technical side. And so they have actually released a new protocol. Remember how, Scotty, I went on a bit of a technical rampage around what HTTP was, how the internet works, and then we talked about MCP, the Model Context Protocol. This is in that same nerdy vein, but essentially they have released their own protocol, just like Anthropic did with the MCP. Stripe have released a new protocol called ACP, which is Agentic Commerce Protocol, and it is the protocol by which agents are going to talk to each other to do business, to do commerce, to transact. So that is actually what is underpinning this OpenAI and Stripe partnership. It's almost like the OpenAI and Stripe partnership is just the test bed for a whole new way of transacting on the internet. And it's what I was talking about before. We are moving to a world whereby the agents will do the work, and the agents still need the guardrails. They need a way of talking to each other. They need to make sure that one agent isn't going to go take the credit card details of another agent and go spending. All of these things need to be in place. And Patrick Collison and the team at Stripe have said, we are going to be the pioneers of this protocol, just like Anthropic did with the protocol for models to talk to each other. He's saying for agents doing commerce, we're going to own this. So I just thought that was really cool for the age of agents.
A Stripe, they're still a private company, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. And is your mate at Shopify also still running private company?
I think
Shopify,
so. Oh, I feel like Shop might be a ticker. Is Shopify?
Because I feel like if they are, I mean, look at
Shopify are public, yeah.
So you look at like American Express, Visa, and MasterCard. You have to look at Stripe and think these guys are going to take over. Like I don't think anyone likes Visa or MasterCard, but these guys feel like they've got the talent, they've got the network, they've got the product, that it is the future of spending money, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, the big thing on that was when Stripe announced the fact that you can, I think you now transact USDC, which is the like the crypto version of US dollars. They're getting into that space. Maybe it's not USDC, but their own token. So they're trying to get rid of fiat currency in a way, which is interesting for Stripe because they also make all their money off the transaction of fiat currency. So maybe it's just them placing a bit of a bet to say, if we go away from fiat, how do we still get our revenue?
I mean, but what they really are is they're sort of just like, the frictionless Tinder for the consumer and the provider, right? And for the service provider. Like, they're just like, you guys like each other, spend some money, we've made it, just press a button. And then everyone seems happy. Like all the founders that start up are like, just get a Stripe code. And, and it just seems like they've conquered both sides of it. Like it's like they've made everyone happy, the consumer and the business. And well, speaking of great founders, mate, time to get into the founder files as we start to get ready to close out the show. And we've got a bit to go over here. So where would you like to start? There's a lot of good founder files learning this week. So where should we go?
Look, I can put a few just little ones. Like you said, we don't have much time. A couple of ones, we'll throw some links up if people want to get in to see the videos. But I really liked a video I saw from Keith Rabois, a famous investor, talking about his investment in Open Door, which I'll talk to in a second. But he said he makes his decisions, or part of his decision to invest in a company is a very simple thing. If the company is meant to open at 9 a.m., he'll actually, and he books his meeting for 9 a.m., he rocks up at 8 and he sees if anyone's at the office. And then he goes around the office and he has a look at the people working and are they actually doing good work or are they kind of just like fluffing around? And it's probably not something that you'd think about if you were a founder and you were bringing an investor into your office. One, are people there before they're meant to be there? And two, are they actually working really hard or are they working from home that day? That's the kind of thing that can actually be a big signal, even though it might seem to be a little thing. So I think my message out of that one is that the little things matter.
Yeah, great. I'll tell you what, I hope my recent investor doesn't rock up this morning at 8 and sees me just fluffing around doing a podcast with you.
This isn't fluff. This is not fluff, my friend.
Oh, this is the good stuff. This is the good stuff.
This is the good stuff. This is the goal now.
No, I completely agree there. And yeah, I mean, even when you're hiring now, like we're just telling people we're sort of trying to go to the moon here. It's not around office. Like it's coming. We're wanting to be your life's work. And if that's not for you, that's okay. There are plenty of other places to do that. But I agree with you. Like, and that's got to start. It's got to be full on cultural. One of the ones I had, mate, was I think there's this built-in public thing. I think people who, you don't need to be a founder. This is for anyone that's got an itch to do something that they're really passionate about. Do it in public. And I think you look at a success story like Nikita Beer being on X, just, producing content, and getting a lot of traction and getting an audience, and then Elon just picking him up and making him head of product on X. Just when we're hiring for Elysium at the moment, I was sort of thinking about like, what are the traditional ways to find talent and, recruiters and all these stupid expenses. And then I realized that I already follow all the people in my sort of media diet that are doing the best work around the world, and they're doing it in public. They've got large followings. They might be on social media or Reddit or whatever they're doing, and they've built communities. And then I've got in contact with them and shared the Elysium vision with them, and they're really interested in coming on board. And I think then as someone who's then hiring talent, you then not only, I suppose, find that talent because they wouldn't have been, building in public otherwise. And then you also open up their distribution network and another, their talent funnel. So all the people that are following them and learning off them probably want to work for them one day, but they don't have a business that they can hire them in. So I just think it's a really interesting thing to, when you're looking for talent, potentially look at your existing media diet and who you're following, and if, get in contact with them. But then also if you've got something you're passionate about, that's on the cutting edge, or even if it isn't, just whatever you're passionate about. If you do it in public, there's a chance that someone might pay you a lot of money to do it. So just as something interesting that we're thinking about here.
I like it. Yeah, the build in public thing is big. A final one that I had for the founder files was just a quote from Brian Halligan, who's the founder of HubSpot. And he said that the questions he asks CEOs when he's coaching them, he's got a bunch of them, but the one that stood out to me was the question, what is your personal operating system? How do you set your priorities and meet them? And I think that's a really good point. Scotty, maybe I feel like this is something you might have done a bit more work on than me, because I don't have a great answer to that. I can talk to you about my personal values, how I work, how that interfaces with the business, but I don't feel like I've got a personal operating system that I stick by, and it could be really valuable. So,
what would
is
you,
there something that you subscribe to?
That? How would you define that?
the personal operating system,
Yeah.
the way you show up to work, your interactions, how you lead by example and not by saying things, and the kinds of things that you do when no one's looking, when you're not on a podcast like this, but you're just having an interaction with a team member, or you're just grinding away at late hours. What are the things that you're doing, the actions that you're taking is how I'd see that.
Yeah. So I'd say the one thing about an operating system that you're probably sharing there is the consistency of it, right? Like, you open up Windows or Mac and it's the same every time. I think that takes years, feedback, a lot of learning and figuring out what works for you and the people around you. But I think at any stage, if you can get into a rhythm, like my rhythm of I do my strategy on the weekends when I go to the gym because I've got kids and a wife and stuff. But if I look like an idiot arguing with ChatGPT while doing a set of weights, I don't care, right? I'm trying to build an empire. So I think finding the disciplines, rhythms, and things that work for you and your business, and then doing those every single week, I feel like that's probably the lesson there. So that would be my take on it. I could be wrong, but I think trying to establish that for yourself and fine tuning that is really important. The last one I want to leave you for, because you got strategy. Now, I've got a slightly doctored Henry Ford quote. When you go in there, do not focus on what these idiot builders want, right? So I've got a Henry Ford quote for you. Builders. If I asked people what they want, they would have said faster horses. So when you go to this strategy session, don't worry about the feedback that you got from some guy that couldn't get the defects module working. Just go there and shoot for the moon, and just don't listen to some stupid request that some person from W asked you to do 2 weeks ago. Just make sure you go in there and really reach for the stars, because if we all asked for it, we'd ask for a faster hammer, we'd ask for the apprentice to show up on time, but we're mindless idiots. We're going to be replaced by robots anyway. So just in that strategy, just go hard.
I love it. I won't agree too heavily at risk of offending all of my customers, but I would take it on board as part of this strategy. I love it.
Henry Ford. That's your excuse.
Henry Ford. I'll put it on him. That sounds good.
All right, get into it.
Thanks, Scotty. Ciao.
I gotta do it big. I gotta do it big. I gotta do it big. Gotta do it big. It's the only way to live. Come